Magandang araw mga ka-aerial defense, may ibabahagi na naman ako sa inyo. Dahil ngayong araw na ito ay may pag-uusapan tayo tungkol sa depensa, destroyer at aircraft na ibibigay ng Japan sa Pilipinas. Nalalapit na, nagsagawa ng bilateral meeting sina Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro at Japanese Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi. Mainit na tinanggap ng kalihim ang Japanese officials at delegation sa isang pagtitipon na ginanap sa lungsod ng Makati. Tiniyak ng Japanese official na tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang pamamahagi ng tulong sa Pilipinas para mapalakas ang ugnayan ng dalawang bansa. Ang Pilipinas at Japan ay nag-formalize ng mga plano na palalimin ang kanilang ugnayan sa depensa, kabilang ang potensyal na pag-transfer ng Abukuma-class destroyer ships at TC-90 patrol aircraft. Kasunod ng kanilang defense ministerial meeting sa Makati City, nilagdaan ni Department of National Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. at Japanese Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi ang isang kasunduan na nagbabalangkas ng pinalawak na kooperasyon sa mga kagamitan at teknolohiya ng depensa, pagkatapos ng kamakailang rebisyon ng Japan sa patakaran nito sa pagtatransfer ng armas.
As the regional and international security environment becomes increasingly severe, Japan and the Philippines have been working in close coordination. At today's meeting, we discussed ways to further expand and deepen our cooperation in the areas of policy, operations, and defense equipment and technology in a more integrated and comprehensive manner. First, I stated that the revision by the government of Japan last month of the three principles on the transfer of defense equipment and technology and its implementation guidelines will further strengthen Japan's contribution to peace and stability in the region and the world. Secretary Teodoro once again expressed his support and expectations regarding this revision. Under this new framework for the transfer of defense equipment, Secretary Teodoro and I signed today a statement on the further promotion of defense equipment and technology cooperation. Through this statement, we agreed to establish a working group bringing together the policy, operational, and equipment divisions of the defense authorities of both countries. We also agreed to move forward with discussions aimed at realizing comprehensive equipment cooperation, including education and training, maintenance and sustainment, operational coordination, information sharing, and the proper management of transferred equipment, with a view to the early transfer of Abukuma-class destroyers and TC-90 aircraft, as well as other defense equipment. Also, Secretary Teodoro and I welcomed the significant progress that has been made in Japan-Philippines defense cooperation, both in institutional frameworks and operations. By applying the Reciprocal Access Agreement, RAA, which entered into force in September last year, to the ongoing U.S.-Philippines hosted multilateral exercise Balikatan 26, we were able to bring in equipment to the Philippines and participate in more advanced training, which had not been possible previously. As a result, the quality and the quantity of the exercise have improved dramatically. This includes the first ever live fire training of surface-to-ship missile conducted by Japan in the Philippines, as well as an approximately 10-fold increase in the participation of the Japan Self-Defense Forces from around 140 personnel last year to about 1,400 this year. We also confirmed our intention to further strengthen our bilateral cooperation, including through the acquisition and cross-servicing agreement AXA signed in January this year. Tomorrow, together with Secretary Teodoro, I will observe Balikatan 26. I very much look forward to seeing with my own eyes this new step forward in the rapidly advancing Japan-Philippines defense cooperation. Secretary Teodoro and I reaffirmed our strong opposition to any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion in the East China Sea and the South China Sea. We also reaffirmed the importance of sharing situational awareness between our defense authorities. Against a backdrop of an increasingly tense regional environment, we concurred that both sides would hold consultations when necessary to ensure the security of both countries and the peace and stability of the region. In particular, as unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion continue to be observed in the surrounding waters of our two countries, enhancing maritime domain awareness capabilities is essential to prevent contingencies and to maintain maritime order based on the rule of law. To this end, we concurred on the need to urgently strengthen and expand our bilateral cooperation, including at the operational level. We also agreed to accelerate discussions to promptly establish relevant systems, including institutional arrangements for information sharing, in order to increase the effectiveness of such cooperation. In addition to our bilateral cooperation, we agreed to further strengthen multilateral defense cooperation, including Japan, US, Philippines, and Japan, US, Australia, Philippines, the so-called Squad cooperation through frameworks such as Balikatan and Maritime Cooperative Activities, MCA. We also agreed to further enhance multilateral defense cooperation, including through ASEAN frameworks that share the fundamental principles of a free and open Indo-Pacific. As the international security environment becomes increasingly complex and tense, cooperation between Japan and the Philippines as strategic partners is becoming ever more important. Japan remains firmly committed to further deepening defense cooperation with the Philippines and to working together to ensure peace and stability in the region.
Thank Japan once again for its review of the three principles on the transfer of defense equipment and technology and its implementing guidelines. And we were very happy to work with Japan in creating demonstrable results at the soonest possible time. We also thank Japan for being there.
Sa ilalim ng bagong balangkas, ang dalawang bansa ay sumang-ayon na simulan ang mga talakayan sa pag-transfer ng Abukuma-class destroyer ng Japan at TC-90 patrol aircraft sa Pilipinas. Malugod na tinanggap ni Teodoro ang development, na binanggit ang kahalagahan ng pagpapahusay ng interoperability at pagpapanatili ng kaayusan na nakabatay sa mga patakaran sa rehiyon. Ang mga detalye kung gaano karaming mga destroyer at patrol aircraft ang sangkot sa negosasyon ay hindi pa natatapos, ayon kay Teodoro. Samantala, muling pinagtibay ng magkabilang panig ang kanilang pangako sa mas malapit na bilateral at multilateral defense cooperation sa gitna ng dumaraming hamon sa seguridad sa East at South China Seas.